Hey everybody, what up? Scuff D here, and the 13th Grade Company event has just about started. It has actually started at 8 o'clock, so about 30 minutes ago, apparently, this message is here. New event has started. Bolvi Greybeard and the Decatra blast into one of Tizca's pyramids. So it looks like Bolvi Greybeard is going to be our fourth Space Wolf warlord following the conclusion of this event here. And then depending on, obviously, what side of the game wins, we get one of these two. Ho, 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 Santa Claus. None can stay the hand of the 13th, or by my boar. Headed pride, I will not yield. I don't know which one of these I like more. I don't know. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not here to talk about the event. I'm not here to talk about that. We're talking about game updates. We got some game updates yesterday. Some very important ones, actually. I've been kind of slightly silent. I've been sick. So it's been a few days since I've got some content out there. I've definitely got some things planned. I'm not running Garrow. I'm just using him for his warlord ability in a practice game coming up here. Just going to be healing myself and my troops as much as possible and hopefully get that crate challenge wrapped up. Anyways, let us take a look at what has been updated. First off, we've seen some cool updates here. This is actually a really great feature. If you tap on the eye on your crate icons, it now tells you how many crates it's been since you last opened a legendary card for all your crates. And this is actually really good. This includes even these little faction ones here, which not that I've opened too many faction wolf cards here. I ended my Space Wolf Legion crate on a legendary, so we'll take it at that. But it's a great way to see where you're at. Do you want to spend some more? Do you have decent odds of getting a crate? For instance, here I've got all legendaries, so there's no point in me spending another, buying another 18 to 28 crates. Same goes for there. I don't need anything from that set. I could spend maybe up to 700 more gold and get a legendary, but I've got all the legendaries from Extermination, so I don't need it. But it's a very neat thing to see. This is actually really good, especially for newer players who have got limited gold, and you want to make the most of your gold purchases and want to know how it's being spent, where your odds are at. This is a great feature, so I'm really glad to actually see how they added this into the game. Also, kind of on a collection note here, they oops, hang on. How do we get into this side? There we go. I believe now it also lists all of the alternate art warlords. I believe it's supposed to list that in your collection here. Could be wrong. But they said that was going to be showing up here. Maybe that's forthcoming. I don't have any alternate art of Vulcan, but I'm not seeing that I'm missing that. But they should be showing that in here. Maybe they've just included that in at the bottom. Are they doing that now? Collection, maybe. We'll go into list. Let's go to all cards. Does that show everything? No. Huh. Well, keep an eye out for that. I've got to figure out how to view it, but I believe they're supposed to be showing the alternate art for those warlords who have alternate art. I'm not seeing it here for Vulcan. Or for Mortarian, so I'm not sure if that's loaded up right yet or not. And then they did some updates to some cards, some very important ones. First off, let's take a look at a big change, a positive change. I'm happy about this. Many people are. Lots of potential here. Lehman Russ has been updated. His ability is now, instead of Bloodthirst, it's Pack can act again. He still has the same ability. He's paying 1 to gain +1/+0 until your next turn. So he still has that. This is still showing us Bloodthirst up there in the box, but he doesn't have Bloodthirst anymore. However, he does have can act again with Pack. So he actually has synergy with his own troops. And this is great, especially for early game or even a late game, because the Pack attack thing with the late game, I mean, as much as 2-drop, 3-drop troops are to be kind of the late game they're not going to swing much. But if you're using them with flanking, bringing them out, flanking, he gets to act. He triggers a pack in Leman Russ. Leman Russ gets to act. Then I throw down another guy. Leman Russ gets to act. And now keep in mind, that's any troop, so it doesn't just have to be Space Wolves. That goes with your Goldstones. That also goes with these new awesome epic guys who are going to be pretty handy with the Space Wolves, I think. Bloodthirst, Flank, that could trigger pack 2 times. That's not just triggering Leman Russ's pack, any other troops you've got with pack, but just think about that. 4-drop. Let's say you've got 8 energy. You drop one of these guys. You drop another flanker for 2, and then you drop the old... let's not even say... Let's say we use those 2 energy for Leman Russ. Let's do that. Let's just leave that 2 energy. So we drop a flanker. We flank him. We pay 1 for Leman Russ. We drop the Vorax. We flank him. We pay 1 for Leman Russ. Leman Russ is now attack 4. We use Vorax again. Leman Russ gets to attack again with 4. That's 2 attacks. Right? Not counting his initial action. So, a lot of potential there. A lot of potential. A lot of potential in how it's done. It doesn't have to be stacked and triggered that way. You could drop them all. You just have to make sure you get your attacking in. Or you throw down 2 Goldstones. And for 3 and 3 and a flanker, you've got enough energy still to do 3 attacks, 2 to the warlord potentially, as well as 2 attacks or 3 attacks from Leman Russ. So his ability is now really good. Look to see Leman Russ a lot more on the ladder. And because he can up his attack till his next turn, it costs energy, but he's versatile. He always kind of has been, but he's been slow. He's been lacking that. The fact that now he has Pack Connect again is actually really huge. His Reckoning has not changed. His Reckoning remains the same. It still only triggers when both warlords have 4 or less health. So it really is kind of the end of the game. I mean, it's still kind of a win more, basically. Like, we have 4 less health, but I win. Or we have 4 less health, but it doesn't matter at this point because the next turn we're both going to lose. You're not really going to very often be able to use that unless both have maybe got Survivor on them. But his ability, huge, 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 huge. Also to go with that, Oathor Weirdmake gets another little thing here. Now this hasn't changed much. He still has the ability at the end of your turn heal 1 to a friendly unit. However, that now can also include himself. This guy does everything. He gives ward to your and plus 2 health to a unit until your next turn. Whether that's your own, your warlord, whatever you want to protect. And then on top of that, at the end of the turn, he can heal 1 to somebody who's taken damage, and you know that's going to happen with the Space Wolves. But then on top of that, he can also heal himself. He's hard to kill. This guy is hard to kill. So that's crazy. I mean, the only thing he's missing is like a card draw ability, and it's like, why wouldn't you play him? I think the thing is his ability costs 2. And it's not offensive; it's a defensive ability. So that's where he kind of has that falter. How do you balance that and keep the momentum going within the Space Wolves? But he's got the potential for it, and I think that's just one more thing, one more positive thing for him. So Oathor Weirdmake gets that going. So good for him. And there's some big changes here. They've made some changes to the over here so we can get to the other cards. To the Firewalkers. Firewalkers are Imperial, right? Yeah. Firewalkers no longer have stealth. Now that's huge. That's huge. For the longest time, that's been a mainstay. They still have the same rally ability, 5/4, get +1/+0 to adjacent units this turn, but they no longer have stealth. So what that means is basically they can't sit in the shadows and hit you for 5. Which was always the strength of them. Not only are they coming in and attacking for 3 or 6 from the 2 units that they're sitting next to, but then the next turn you're going to eat 5 unless you have some sort of anti-stealth. Or even worse, if you're playing against the Sons of Horus and they've got loaded Bane Strike rounds ready to throw down on that thing, the next turn you're eating 9 or more. No longer has stealth, so it can be targeted by tactics, it can be destroyed, it can be flanked. It's a lot more susceptible. It's really good because it's a neutral card, and it's kind of become a staple in a lot of aggro decks. Kurz, Horus, Angron's really the only one that you haven't seen it with, and you don't see it too often with Karn, because Karn games at 5 energy, there's just better and more important options for Karn at that point because the game doesn't go too much longer. You'll see it. You would have seen it maybe with the Custodes. Nassau used him pretty usefully, and he's still useful, but not having that stealth makes a big difference. And I would probably say it's arguable that you might see it in an Emperor's Children build, from time to time. Now you're not going to see them as often. They're still very good, but the fact that they can be capped makes them not a immediate go-to. It is definitely going to shake up the Night Lord's game, in my opinion, especially the late game options for Kurz. That was such a pinch. If he was Night Haunter and he had Mercy and Forgiveness, you could throw down Firewalkers, and basically you've got 6 attack, get back into stealth mode, and still have a Firewalkers to guide you into your next turn for an additional 5 damage, hopefully to wrap up the game at that point. So look to see the Kurz late game options depending on how you build your deck. That does make a difference. But it's important because as a neutral card, it goes into so many decks. It's so useful. Another neutral card that has seen some change, and it breaks my heart, but at the same time, it was inevitable, is the Beast of Fyra. The Beast of Fyra has taken a little bit of a change. It now has Maintenance 3, and it has Health 5. So it's 1 less health, 1 more maintenance. What this does, it makes it a little bit easier to kill. It's a smidge easier to kill. Still kind of hard with 4 energy or 5 energy, depending on when it's coming into play. However, it also drastically limits the follow-up options that decks can play with this if they play this card on curve. And when I say on curve, meaning when they have 4 energy exactly. You play a Beast of Fyra with 4 energy, your next turn, you only have 2 energy to operate after that maintenance. So there's a lot of less cards that you can pump it. You can't Bane Strike rounds it now. Just go back to Bane Strike round. That's a 3 energy. So you're going to have to play Beast of Fyra on a much later turn, whereas, before they were changed, you could still throw a Bane Strike on it, and then you would have an 8/6 with Bloodthirst, which is ridiculous, at turn 5. So they've changed that, and that's for the better. That's for the better, because again, Beasts is a neutral card. It can go into a lot of decks, and it has gone into a lot of decks since they were available in the shop. But the important thing there is they're not super underpowered. The maintenance, they can still, I would say probably turn 5, maybe turn 6 is still not a bad time to bring them in and put pressure on your opponent's board. They still do work. And you know who else they work with? And a lot of people, discount her, but good old Ingethel. I can play them on curve and not have to worry too much. They're the only demon I would play in Ingethel. But that's just me. When I play Ingethel, I don't play her to pack demons. I play everything but, except I'll throw Beast in there, and you'd be surprised how good that works. Anyways, now those 2 are very important neutral card changes. We've seen 2 very important positive changes for the Space Wolves, and I'll be honest with you, as much as these are nerf changes for the Firewalkers and for the Beasts of Fyra, and I love you, Beasts of Fyra, but it was inevitable. They're for the better. Now, one that I I do not think is for the better. And this goes hand in hand with the Beast of Fyra and the Firewalkers. This is a Horus Lupercal change. And then the Horus Lupercal has been changed. His initiative is now medium, which is a shame. Is that artwork different? Am I just missing that? Did they change his artwork? Hang on here. I could have sworn. Oh, maybe I was always looking at the Reckoning artwork. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just missing that for the first time, but that looks like different Horus artwork. Weird. I've never really looked at his artwork closely, but it does not look like that when I match up with him in battle, so not sure. Anyways, his initiative has been changed to medium instead of high. That's it. That's the only change. However, I don't think that's necessary. I think that was a little bit heavy-handed. The Beast of Fyra and the Firewalkers are very important cards that factor into a Horus deck, and the Horus deck has been around for months. It only got really popular because Horus was in the shop, and he was available to everybody. But the options to run Horus is a lot of strong neutral cards, coupled with some awesome Banestrike rounds, maybe a Metal Storm round if you want. You throw down some Groger squads, some Goldstones, maybe a second wave, and just the direct damage output of the Sons of Horus. And what you have is a good old-fashioned beatdown deck, and it's a good mid-range deck. It was an amazing mid-range deck. I think changing the two neutral cards was important to kind of force some restructure into how that mid-range operates, because it was a superb mid-range. It was probably too strong at some point as a result of those neutral cards. Horus's ability not being offensive, being just drawing a card, having it at one less initiative, doesn't seem like a whole lot. And I'm not normally one who lives and dies by initiative per se. But I think that it takes a lot of the thing that made Horus different from Tarek Torgadon, who actually has high initiative and can deal damage and draws a card, potentially. And he can draw a card more often than not. Loken, who needs the high initiative due to his low health, and then Abaddon, who's got medium and deals damage. So now Horus doesn't deal any damage. He just draws a card, but he has medium initiative. It's a little disappointing. That's a change I disagree with. I hope they'll go back. I hope they'll revisit it and determine that maybe that was unnecessary. I'm not one, and look, let's just take a look at the battle history here. This is from last night. Angron, Magnus, Perturabo, Constantine, Korax, Sevatar. Those are all following the changes to the game. I think a lot of people either were changing. I faced this Vishk Pop with his Sevatar deck. It's a great Sevatar deck, and I think we're 50-50 on game exchanges. He's a great player, good Sevatar deck. But shout out if you're out there, Vishk Pop. Caliber Hall, that's another great. That's one to save. I'm gonna save that game. Good game there, Crow. That's worth a view. But I mean, look here. I got one Horus. From the day before. He's not there. Now, granted, some of these are nice practice. Yeah. So one out of 20. One out of my 20 games is Horus. Now, this is just me, and I'm just throwing around in 2,800 Terra right now. But it wasn't much different last season. I think maybe 20% of my games were Horus, and I know everybody was saying that he's the top deck. Everybody's running into Horus over and over and over again. It's the same build. It plays the same way as your standard Angron solo deck played. It's typical. There's not a whole lot of variety to it. It's just, are they going to get the cards before you get your cards? That's what it is. That's what a lot of the game is sometimes. But he wasn't abundant. He wasn't massively abundant. How much is he going to drop off? altogether because of these changes remains to be seen. Was he super popular? I think, did some players run into him more than others? That's entirely possible. That's entirely possible. And I'm not shaking the fact that he probably got a lot more popular when he was in the shop. But I really hate to see that just because a warlord gets popular, does well, and then just drastically takes a severe handicap for no reason. I think the neutral cards need to be changed. I don't think Horus did. When you have a warlord like Garrow, who is dominant for quite some time due to the change in the meta, or Angron, who, a lot of people who haven't played the game long enough, or who are just maybe started in the last 2 months, may not understand. But Angron was your number 1, number 2 warlord for almost a year. Almost a year. And there was many changes to the World Eaters card pool itself. One change to Angron before eventually the change in the meta, in the card pool, and the final change, I think, was the change to Armor of Mars, and even then I think that's an improvement from where it is. But that finally drove him out of the top 3. And that's the longest running warlord. I think that streak will live forever. So when a warlord gets 1 month in the sun, and then takes a shot and just drops out, and you don't see them again, it's kind of unfortunate. Now, who are we going to see next? I mean, is Magnus is he going to be the new top dog now? Because he can bide his time? I think Leman Russ is going to be a contender. I think the Leman Russ builds are going to be popping up and springing left and right. I think people are going to be trying new things out for sure. I do think that there's something to be said about the Custodes. And I've got to do my card by card for the Custodes here. Maybe I'll do that later today. I got some time. I'm taking the weekend off, and I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. A lot of stuff to catch up on after being sick and holidays and trying to deal with work and fun stuff. But I haven't forgotten what's important. What's important is Horus Heresy Legions. Always will be. Kurz is still a good deck. Alfarius still plays the same. I'm on month 2 of Falk, by the way. I finished Falk with 4,200. Just shy of... Was I in 42? I was in 4,200. Just shy of 4,300, I believe. I was ranked 115 in the world, baby! Month 1, casual Falk. And when I say casual, I mean there was probably about 7 days that I did not play him in ladder. I was practicing with the Thousand Suns in the early week. So this month I'm making sure to be... All 5 of my daily mission games are going to be in ladder with Falk, and we'll see how we go. So already we're at 2,800. So the month is young. The month is young, but Falk works. But is he not? He's not really dominant. I don't think people really go for him. He's a combo deck, but he is what he is. Who else we got here? I think. I really want to play with these new neutral cards, but I think Decima and Caliber Hal have got a lot of options with this new set. A lot of options. Sevatar is still good. Exodus is good. I think Weirdmake has got some potential here. There's a lot of good decks. There's a lot of good warlords. Horus is still a good warlord, but losing that initiative is unfortunate. How much is that going to change his play? I don't know. So we'll see. There's a lot, and you know what? I was there. You saw it. You thought it. Let's look at it again. We need more deck slots. I'm just looking. I'm looking at that empty deck slot, and I want to fill it. But what happens is once I fill it, I can't build any more decks. And as you can see, I don't have a deck for Magnus. And if I build a deck for Magnus, then I've got my deck for Nassau, and then I can't do a Valdor, and I can't do a Shapura deck. That's 3 decks I can't build. And at the end of this event, we're going to get Greybeard. That's 4 decks. Deck slots, guys. Come on, devs. Come on, Everguild. I will pay 100 gems for a deck slot. I will pay 600 gems for 6 deck slots. I'm going to do it. make it an option. I'll do it. I'd rather spend those gems on crates, but at this point in time, the only cards I'm missing are Tribune for the Custodes, and the Censure, the Censure of Nakia card, and that's coming up in the shop at some point in time. I'm gonna scoop that puppy up. So I got gems. I want decks. I want deck slots. Give it to me. So, all right. Anyways, we've talked about those updates. Some good updates, really, guys. I'm tapping buttons too fast to think where I'm going. Great updates with the Space Wolves. Really looking forward to seeing what that brings. A lot of options for Lehman Ross. Really, really. Important changes for the neutral cards. Very important. They're going to affect a lot of decks. I think ultimately the meta for the better. Firewalkers is still a good card, but now it can be targeted, and that makes a big difference in a lot of those games. And Beast of Fira, still a good card, but you can't play it on curve and benefit as much the following turn, and that's important for so many decks who are doing that. World Eaters can still play Sweep in Advance, so don't discount that. They can still make it into a 7/5 with Bloodthirst. Don't discount that, but it does definitely shake up what the Sons of Horus were able to do with it. It even shakes up the Emperor's Children. Cannot hit perfection on that on the following turn unless they're Tarvets. Oh, what? Soul Tarvets? You crazy bastard! You're gonna get perfection to those Beasts of Fira? Why would you do it? Unbreakable Focus? Can you imagine? Oh, he can make them a 6/7 the next turn. And they'd still be around after that. They would, oh wow. Yeah. That's hot. Although, is that worth it? Is it worth it to use an Unbreakable Focus on one troop? It depends, I guess, on the matchup of the game. Anyways. And then, of course, the Horus change. And then we've seen some changes and adjustments to the game. Now, they've also said that they went ahead and fixed some bugs that were affecting the game, specifically cards that attack by themselves at the start of turn. Again, this is a recurring problem, so it's nothing that we're not familiar with. And then one more thing that they did change was First Strike now does work when you take it to a enemy warlord. So when you're attacking, enemies killed don't retaliate. So that's very important for the draws. For those games where you've got Heresy Nassau about to finish off a warlord, you both have 2 health. He can now take out that warlord and not have a draw. Or when I say 2 health, I mean, I guess technically if you're going up against Angron or somebody's got 3, 4 attack, and you've got 2 health, 3 health, 4 health, but they've only got 2 health left, you can win the game with that First Strike. So that actually is a pretty good bonus for Nassau, and probably the next warlord that we see for the Custodes will also have First Strike. It might be Amon. I like Amon. He has potential, so we'll see. I'm thirsty. It's summertime. That's it, guys. Game updates. July 4th is when they happened. July 5th is when I'm doing it because I'm up and I'm awake and I'm ready for the day. And I hope you guys are going about crazily shaking up your decks and like figuring out what do you got to swap for Firewalkers now, and is Beast of Fire still worth having in your decks? 50% of them, it's still worth having. At least one. And that's it. So here's a big shout out here. Starting today, Lodge Wars 3 is starting. It's gone on to into Discord. We've had pairings. That's going to be the new tournament series, or part 3 of the tournament series. Trader's End is participating. I am not in the team this time around. I'm sitting this one out. I've got just a busy schedule, so I'm not going to be able to fit in the tournament games. with summer and everything and family and whatnot, it's just been a little bit too much. So I won't be participating in Lodge Wars 3, but I am looking forward to trying to figure out a way to provide coverage for it. Maybe get some game shares from my lodge members if they're willing to share them without revealing their secrets. We'll see. Just to kind of give a breakdown of our week's play. So Lodge Wars 3 starts. If you are participating, if you or your lodge are participating, good luck. Good battles. I wish everybody the best out there. And if you haven't tried out the challenging the moderators in the Crucible format, give it a try. I believe right now this week they are doing the Titans. They are playing the Reaver Titan Warlords from the event, which was a one-time event. They haven't done it since. It was a very long, trudging event. It felt like you were playing a Titan, which was awesome, cool, but those games went on forever. But they're piloting Reaver Titan, so if you want to face a Titan as Nurgle, and I'm not talking Mandragorax, I'm talking, Mega Power Fist, Vulcan Cannon, head missile launchers, 3 pieces of power. I wish I had a replay to show. I think Kazran put up a video where he fought it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Those are fun games. They're very challenging. They're meant to be challenging. Bragging rights, and I believe they've upped the prize to a legendary if you're the first one to beat that specific Titan. So very cool, very cool. And then I think we've started up signups for the second founding tournament. I believe Iron Duke is doing that. Again, these are all on Discord. If you want to get involved in more tournament games, check out Discord. Look it up. There's a lot of new formats. There's just great players. I hype it up because I'll be honest with you, that is probably the heart of the active community. And there might be various threads and posts. It's a global game, so there might be global chats out there elsewhere. But that is really where a lot of the players congregate and centralize. Players of all nationalities. Some are more capable in language than others. Some try to communicate as best they can. I think Crow is the one who only communicates by translate, but he does pretty well. And he's a great player. So, anyways, guys, that's it. Check out Discord if you're interested in those games. Otherwise, best of luck to you to fixing your. I'm gonna turn into Typhon here. Yeah, me and my scythe. I'm in the Terminator suit. Hang on, I got the beard too. I got the Typhon beard. Oh shit! Here I am, Mortarian for Nurgle. Yeah. All right, I like it. All right, guys, that's enough of me goofing off. I got some stuff to do, and then I'm going to get back here. I got some Custodes card by cards to do, as well as some neutral cards. And I want to talk about the next series in our training cage. We're going to be talking about, I think, combo decks, which I've got some examples of those. So great. Good stuff. Glad to be back, and we'll talk to you next time. Keep playing Legions. Hasta.
Alright, that wraps it up for me. If you liked what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe, add any comments below, and if you think the video might be useful or the series might be useful, feel free to share that with other players that you know as well. And we'll talk to you later.